Friends, let's learn some Torah. We are in the 10 days of repentance, Aseret Yemei Tshuva. Those are the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. This is the time that we reflect even more deeply on where we fell short this past year. Tshuva is from the word shuva, which means to return. And it was interesting, I was studying with one of my children yesterday what the process of return signifies. What are Aseret Yemei Tshuva all about? And one of the possible answers is returning to God. And it is a very powerful suggestion because, yes, there are categories of mitzvot, of commandments, that are between a person and God. But the truth is, the vast majority of commentators on this period of time don't focus on God, even though our prayers are absolutely focused on God. And even though we absolutely and appropriately and gratefully acknowledge that our souls have been returned to us each morning, and on Rosh Hashanah and on Yom Kippur especially, we focus on the soul. But we are taught by tradition and by the overwhelming majority of commentators that these are the days that we must find other human beings with whom we are in relationship and whom we have wronged. Because God can't forgive me for what I've done wrong to you. For the mistakes that I've made as a rabbi, as a partner, as a husband, as a father, all the things I am. No one can apologize for that except for me. And no one can forgive me, not even God, except for the people with whom I've fallen short. And I pray that in my relationships, I have little to apologize for, but it would be inhuman to think I have nothing to apologize for. All of us have had real years, and all of us are real people, and we could describe the world as happening to us, but that's, well, that's fair. This world has absolutely happened to us for the last number of years, but acting like that's the only thing that's gone wrong, and the only things that have happened incorrectly have happened to me, that's not quite right either. We often are co-creators of things that go wrong. We can look at the supernatural, right, or the acts of God, as insurance claims put them, like the floods in Libya, or the heat, the devastating heat and fires in Hawaii or in California, or the floods and hurricanes and tornadoes in different parts of the United States. We can look at these natural disasters and absolve ourselves from responsibility, saying it's out of our hands, except that there are many things in our hands, exacerbating the world situation by human neglect and by the terrible impact that the Industrial Revolution began, where we pollute our air, our land, and our water, and our children's futures. Knowingly. The more we understand about recycling, the more we understand that reducing plastic has got to be the strategy, because when you recycle plastic, you release microplastics into the world. There are no simple answers to these questions, but pretending that any of it is out of our control is a very big mistake. We have the ability to influence things for the better. And yes, Joy, you're correct. There is a tradition that if you have sincerely asked for forgiveness 3 times from the person that you have wronged, someone being unwilling to grant forgiveness, the mistake is now theirs. It's so important for us to take these teachings seriously, especially during these days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's so important for us to remember that our responsibility as human beings is vast. Yesterday, I shared the teaching of Rabbi Abram Joshua Heschel, who said, here we are, images of God, a fraction of God's infinite power at our disposal. A fraction of infinity is still a lot. And as Adrian wrote so beautifully just now, and I, as your dear friend, because I love you so much, I'll quote you, but I'm imagining that those who are closest to you, including me, would wonder about the first part of what you wrote. Still read it. I have so much to apologize for, you wrote. The willingness of others to forgive has moved me beyond expression. So there's deep power here, which is to say that none of us None of us are without blemish in our conduct during any year, during any period of time. And it can open us up in such a profound way when someone forgives us. When we walk around thinking it's not my responsibility at all, or where someone walks around saying, I've done too much bad, no one will forgive me. Both of those aren't quite right. The big gift, friends, and Leah, you are learning Torah with us on your honeymoon. Boker Tov to you. Mazel Tov. The big gift of these 10 days, is to know that I matter enough, that I'm held accountable. I matter enough, and my fellow human beings matter enough that God can't intervene and make this process simple for me. Even God can't. I have to do the hard work of knowing that I matter and that forgiveness is possible, that self-forgiveness is a mandate. Apologizing is holy. Forgiving is beautiful. There's a very important aspect of this forgiveness conversation that relates to the whole process. When I've wronged someone, and I know it, who has the power in our relationship now? Really? I might have thought before whatever I did wrong that the power was mine. But who has the power when I've wronged someone? The answer is they do. I can't look to God for forgiveness, and I can't absolve myself. Only my fellow human being can do it. There is enormous power in that. And part of the complicated dynamic is that when you forgive, and please God, we should learn how to. We should apologize sincerely when we have done wrong. And when someone has wronged us, we should find the strength to give away that power. When you've been wronged, you are the only one with the power to forgive. What a brave act it is. What an act of courage it is. What an act of love it is to forgive. Because then I'm giving my grudge away. I'm giving the power being wronged gave me. I'm giving it away. If I hold on to it and I don't forgive anyone, ever in the extreme, that's called self-martyrdom. Because these are interpersonal acts. It's actually not about me. When someone has wronged me, it's not about me. It's their blemish. And if I've been wronged a number of times, I accrue power. But who wants that power? Who wants to have someone else's guilt and the power to forgive them festering inside, not exercised? The power to forgive is a divine power. By the way, the power to apologize is also a divine power. You might think, because medieval philosophers have taught for way too long in our academics, in our traditional places of learning, in our reading, you might think that God is without mistakes. Hatzur tamim po'olo, says the Psalms. The unmoved mover, says Plato and Maimonides. But actually, God makes mistakes too. After the flood in the book of Genesis, God says, I made a mistake and I won't do it again. What was the mistake? God says, I made people, and people are created in my image, and this is what you're like. I'm not going to destroy all of you. That's like destroying myself. I am a moved mover, says the God of the Torah. God, in different sections of the Torah and in rabbinic midrash, God apologizes. Think about the model that represents for us. God forgives. Think about the model that is for us. In just a few days, it'll be Yom Kippur, and we are holding ourselves accountable, I hope, for the things that we have done wrong and for the things we haven't done right. That is sacred. That is good. It's cleansing. It's honest. And when we are able to forgive ourselves and to ask forgiveness of others, and when we are able to forgive others who've come forward with bravery, It is an absolutely, as Linda just said, a body-shaking experience. It is hard. It's hard. It opens me up in a vulnerable way in the world. And I think, many of us think, we're conditioned to think, that by opening up myself, lowering my guard, lowering my defenses, I can then be subject to great hurt. But there's nothing that hurts more than having pain on the inside that has nowhere to go. So when I've done wrong, and I have done wrong, because I'm a person, it's a gift. We always can grow. When I've done wrong, I have to find the courage to say I'm sorry. Those are very hard words. And when someone has hurt me, and they find the courage to say they're sorry, I have to be willing to let down my guard and actually accept their apology. I shouldn't wonder if they mean it. If they uttered those words, they were working at it. I should accept it because I would much rather be wrong and forgive than self-righteous and sick on the inside. There is so much to say about these themes, friends. But I hope that this short reflection has been helpful for you, because I'm seeing friends like Jill, who in Barcelona, Fabrice in Paris. I'm seeing wisdom teachers like Rabbi Cantor Risa, who every day graces us with what comes from her heart. Listen to her words here. For many, asking for forgiveness or apologizing are the hardest acts of humanity to perform. Absolutely. Many do not think the good acts can do. Whatever happened continues to brew for years. Is it not worth performing those acts of humanity? Yes, my friend. Yes, my friend. Of course, my teacher. It is so worth performing these acts of humanity, these acts of humility. What a gift all of you are. Because in this community, we reflect on what matters. Linda, as you wrote, you've reached out to people who didn't answer the phone, nor did they return the call. But what matters in this part of the conversation is that you're trying. In the scope of the divine economy, we are called to keep on trying. And Eileen, what a gift it is to be in a community that offers you strength. So if I could sum all this up in one small way, it's that you matter. You matter enough that the things that you do matter too. And the people in your life matter too. Apologies are so precious. Forgiveness is so precious. As we are in the 10 days of reflection, of return, let's not only think about returning to God, let's do our best to return to each other. This is the great work of being human. What a gift it is to do it in community. Thank you, friends, for offering your hearts, for being so bearing with your comments, for loving so emphatically that you'd share it in this way too. Let's sing our way into a good day, friends, and we'll see each other tomorrow. Bless you, friends. See you tomorrow.